Anthony Slater and Sam Amick put together. Anthony Slater joining us now. Thanks for your time, Anthony. I got to start with this. A little awkward. I apologize, but apparently Sam was on the morning show today, and he said, look, this thing was 90% me, 10% Slater. He says, maybe you asked one question, and he did most of the heavy lifting on it. And I just thought, in all fairness, I had to give you a chance to respond to that. Hello? Did we have
any response?
Anthony Slater?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Now we can get a response.
Yeah.
I was sending a hateful text to Sam Amick as you were asking that question.
Perfect.
Let's flip that and say 90-10. I'll take 90% of it.
Good.
And we can have internal strife.
Yeah, that's what I figured too, knowing you and knowing him. It sounds like one of the things that really stands out, of course, excellent piece. We appreciate it. Sounds like the Kings are very, very, very excited and high on Sasha Vezenkov, Anthony.
Yeah, for sure. You can understand why. I think it's two reasons. Number one, he, even since they got him, a couple of years ago, has blossomed more overseas. He's 27 now, mid-prime. He just was the EuroLeague MVP. But also, since they had acquired his rights, I think in a way, I don't want to say stumbled into a system that is perfect for him, but, rebuilt around Mike Brown and the Sabonis trade is post-Vezenkov, and completely remade their offense into an offense that they believe fits them perfectly, right? What is the number? He had like 275 points on 26 dribbles or something. It's a little Klay Thompson like, but
yes.
he's a backdoor cutter, catch and shoot guy, on the move. And he's big. They're finished at the wing. I don't think he's going to solve their wing defense problems, but I do think he's going to fit really nicely into their offense.
Do you have any sense as to, they're clearly very high on Sasha, and you said in the article that, this could go down as one of the bigger moves in Kings franchise history. Did you get a good sense of how good they feel like Sasha can be, even if it's a couple of years down the line? Like, do they think at some point he could be a starter for this team?
Yeah, you would think in a lot of ways the starting lineup's blocked, but I think, you would consider Barnes' spot maybe most vulnerable,
right?
At this point, or even Herter, I guess, and that's kind of where you could see, depending on how good Sasha is, and there's a lot of unknown, right? It's just like any. Now he's a little bit more of a polished player. You have more, film of him, obviously, because he is 27 years old. He's played so much overseas, but still, you don't know till you drop him in an NBA environment. But yeah, I think they think his offense is going to translate well, efficient type player. I don't know. Maybe just like Utah Jazz, Joe Ingles, like does that wow you at all? Maybe, I don't think he's going to be spectacular all-star type, but Joe Ingles was like a high-level role player, rotation player, starter at times for very good Utah teams. So something like that. And then the other thing I've heard from them, they really like his mindset. They think that he's going to fit into the locker room well, and he's like kind of about what they're about.
Anthony Slater from The Athletic joining us. We know that, according to Monte McNair, the Kings kicked some tires on a few other players, so there may not be anything here, but I know Draymond was just talking about, hey, I had some more lucrative offers from other teams. Do you think the Kings made any kind of overtures towards Draymond?
No, I don't think that he's on that list. I think those are some other Western Conference contenders. I think, this has not been explicitly said to me, but I don't think there was a belief that Draymond necessarily fits next to Sabonis offensively.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the priorities that they continue to, go after, it's all kind of offense first, like shooters, floor spacers, Sabonis and Fox, and they haven't leaned hard into defense. Even though we can obviously look. That's the thing they probably need to shore up most. But I just think there is an organizational belief not to touch the offense too much. Right? This was a historic. Efficiency team last year, and you continue to see this summer with who they added. I don't think they want to mess with that. I think they believe with a second year under Mike Brown, with maybe if he can convince them to play with the physicality they did in the playoffs in that first round series, they can be good enough defensively. But I just don't think they want to mess with the offense. And to be honest, you guys watch the Warriors, you guys watch Draymond. Like Draymond and Sabonis as an offensive fit feels a little bit like they'd be playing hot potato out there with, two defenders just completely sagging off them. A little bit like Looney and Draymond. The Warriors have trouble with that at times.
I'm curious, you kind of pointed there to the Kings' plan of internal growth as really the point of improvement for them next year. Do you feel like you've seen enough specifically from Keegan Murray to really buy into everything that they seem to be selling this offseason, that he could really be a one to take a massive leap going into next year?
I don't know that I buy like Kawhi Leonard 2.0 is
Right.
on the way to Sacramento. But yeah, offensively, yes. Like he's really, I mean, he wowed as a rookie. I mean, and just like if he was just who he was as a rookie, he's one of the best catch and shoot, like, I guess role playing weapons in the league. I think he hit 41% of it, he hit like 196 catch and shoot threes. He does it on the move. That is like, as you saw last season, like it unlocks different parts of the offense. But now what they're trying to get more out of him is, can they give him the ball late in the clock? And if De'Aaron Fox is off the floor, or hey, look, De'Aaron Fox, tweaks an ankle, has to miss 5 games. In those 5 games, can Keegan Murray run a bunch of pick and rolls if they feel like that's needed in a particular matchup? Can he go get 30 where it's not just, him off ball, it's some on ball stuff? And their belief increasingly from what they've seen, in front of us in Summer League, but also behind the scenes is yes. And I would agree that I'm, starting to lean more to that side. Like I think he's got a chance to be a high efficiency 22, 25 points per game guy, maybe, relatively early in his career. And then, but where I would push back more against the Kawhi stuff is like Kawhi was a defensive player of the year. And I still am not sure on Keegan Murray. I think he's going to have the smarts to play team defense. I think he's going to have the willingness that a lot of times you need, but I still don't see him from a speed, physicality standpoint being able to be really an average or above average wing defender, which I still think is the Kings' problem long term if we're actually truly talking about trying to win a title.
Anthony Slater from The Athletic with us. And towards the end of the piece, Anthony, towards the end when clearly Amick had checked out and you're doing all the heavy lifting to try to bring this thing home. Yeah. Monte talks about how things don't always progress in a linear nature. Was that maybe on some level an acknowledgement that, hey, things really went well for us last year and they're not going to necessarily go our way as well as they did last year every season?
Yeah, I remember as part of that conversation, I don't even know if we put it in, but it was like kind of an acknowledgement that we can't just say, hey, we got to make the second round of the playoffs. They need to go into the season like, hey, we need to make the playoffs. It's not just because you made it last year. It's like box checked, you're automatically in the following season. So there was a little of that. And also that was wrapped into, kind of a comment, which I thought was pretty revealing, but about the fact that, yes, it may seem like they are going the stability, route right now and bringing everybody back. But they have purposely left their cupboard pretty full to make big moves. And I mean, he said that on the record, right? It's like we have almost all of our first round picks, all of our seconds. We got tradable contracts that we can pile together. And I mean, what the league is now. There's 2 to 3 to 4 big trades per year. And he's of the belief when the timing is right, if they feel like an upgrade is needed, if it's not going as linear as they were hoping this year, they, Monte McNair from the Daryl Morey school might pull the trigger on something like that.
You mentioned them leaning into stability this offseason. A big part of that was the Sabonis extension, and a lot was made of the money that he ended up getting. I'm just curious, you personally, how do you feel about the Sabonis extension? Did you feel like it was just? Did you feel like they were kind of competing against nobody else and offered him too much? I'm just curious your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they wanted to just play hardball and like try to get him to as low a number as possible, they could have taken it into unrestricted next summer, with the belief that, hey, is there another team willing to pay the type of money that he just got? And the answer is probably no. It probably would have been lower. But then you're playing hardball with the guy that you're telling that he's the franchise, him and Fox are the franchise. And you're not only doing that, you're having him in a walk year. What are all the questions next season if Domantas Sabonis is not only in a walk year, but there's rumblings behind the scenes that the Kings are trying to get him back on a discount and maybe he'll explore the market, and hey, he's in a 10-game slump and the trade deadline's coming up, do they need to get off of it? To me, some of their overpayment, you might say, was to just squash that. Now you go into next season, everybody knows this is a Fox and Sabonis team long term. I know one of the things that Monty said he liked most about what they have building is pretty much everybody besides Malik Monk in their rotation has at least 2 years, and then most of their main guys have 3 years, including their 2 best players, are just locked into long multi-year deals. I think it's a valid question to wonder if those two can be the 1 and 2 on a title team in the NBA. But I mean, they raised expectations last year. Maybe they can do it again.
Well, you don't need us to tell you it's an excellent piece. Thanks, Slates. We appreciate your time very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, fellas.
Thank you.
Nice.